Well, that's another £60 spent at the supermarket on very little, but I have a cucumber and I'm going to make some sushi later, so that makes everything okay. Now we've got a quick online appointment with our IVF doctor, so I better go and get the computer logged in and cross fingers, see how that all goes. I have to admit, I'm actually quite nervous about the whole thing. It's a bit worrying, and yeah, you don't know what they're going to say until afterwards. It's a bit strange actually being a patient as well. As a doctor, you're sort of expected to know everything, at least everything about health. You're expected to sort of know what's going on, know what the answers are, and when it's an unknown, it all gets a bit frightening actually. So yeah, cross fingers and hope that we get a little bit of positive news. Right, well, that's the consultation done, and the bathroom cleaned, and some mushrooms picked and cut up again. So I've had a bit of time to process everything. I'm feeling a bit washed out, maybe. I'm not sure, it's quite difficult to put it into words, but yeah, deflated I think's the word I used before. So the egg count on this scan was a bit lower than the previous one a couple of months ago by quite a lot really. So that was a bit of a surprise, I suppose. What that means is instead of getting lots of potential embryos, we're going to probably only get one or two. I mean, they'll hopefully be better quality because of that, but the numbers are going to be less, and I suppose that then has an impact on the number of attempts that we get to have. So that's a bit depressing. But hopefully we'll be able to get cracking on the first cycle at this clinic really soon, so the sooner the better. The cost is also a little bit frightening, especially if it's going to take a few goes. Again, that makes me feel very let down by the NHS as well. If they'd been honest about us from the word go about just how long and difficult and limited the service was in the NHS, I might have been a bit more enthusiastic to go straight down the expensive private route, and in the long term it might have been less pricey as well as so much longer. Again, in hindsight, I couldn't in good faith ever recommend the NHS pathway to anyone in the future, unless they've got all the time in the world to play with and no real pressure of time, which often isn't the case. It's especially disappointing when I think about the amount of my life and my soul and my time that I've put into the NHS to try and keep it going, the amount of free overtime I've done, the amount of extra work, the amount of time I've spent caring for other people, looking after people and doing my absolute best. And then this feeling that the whole service that I've gone above and beyond for is not what I hoped. And I'm not meaning I think I should be getting special treatment or anything like that, but it just feels a bit like an uneven relationship that I've put literally everything, most of my adult life, most of my life really, into working hard to become a doctor, to look after other people, to work in the NHS, to do all of that kind of thing. And then when I feel that I need them, they're not really there for me. Not just not there, but actively letting me down. And I must say I'm feeling that it's a very exploitive system that takes all it can from you, but doesn't really give back when you need it to. So that's a bit of an eye-opener. It kind of makes me want to get out even more than I did before. It's yes, I think I've called it toxic in the past. If I've not, then I should maybe call it toxic twice just now, or even 3 times. It's just a toxic, broken system that's used as a political football, and while everyone talks about improving it, they do the absolute opposite and seem to be working harder to break it, and to break the people in it, and to break the people needing to use it. Right, I think that's everything I've got to say for now. I'm going to go and dig some compost now and do a bit of manual labour, which might help a bit. Tamsin's just asked me a really good question. When did the NHS last work? And that's a really difficult question to ask. I mean, I suppose it's a nationalised service, so it's always been in a bit of a difficult situation. It's been struggling almost as long as I've known it, I must say. I mean, I thought in about 2006 I could see the end, and since then we've hit rock bottom. We've hit the point on several occasions where I thought it couldn't possibly get any worse, and each time it successfully has, and I've found a new rock bottom that couldn't possibly be beaten, which again has been beaten. But I think the ultimate breaking point was probably COVID. For a little while we got people standing on the doorstep and clapping, but when they did that, they kind of dehumanised us at the same time. They seemed to forget that we were people working in a system, and instead we got turned into some sort of martyr. So shortly after COVID, it got nastier, and obviously we all seemed to reach breaking points at around about the same time. A system that was past breaking point but being held together by that goodwill alone has now reached the point where it is well and truly broken, and I would say it's probably now in free fall. Hi again, I've had a little bit of time to unwind again, and I've just been making some dinner. Guess what I've made? It's sushi. Not the best sushi I've ever made. I think I might have put a bit too much water in the rice, mainly because I put water in to rinse it and then measured an exact amount afterwards. But it's still sushi and it's still homemade anyway, so let's just have a little look. So here we go. This is my homemade sushi. There are some avocado rolls. There are some avocado and tofu rolls. That one's got a slice of fried cucumber skin on. There are some plain avocado rolls. No, these are the ones with the cucumber in. And there are some tofu and cucumber rolls, but one of them's got a piece of avocado sticking out. And then, of course, the soy sauce and some bean curd crispy things, which were going to be part of the sushi, but were too crispy. Some slices of tofu, some slices of avocado, and a bit more cucumber in the corner. Good morning! My manual labour strategy backfired totally yesterday. I managed to pull my back again. I injured it about 3 weeks ago and I keep twinging it, and it really hurts. So I ended up in bed before 8 o'clock yesterday reading my book. I did get to finish my book, which is a good thing, but a good night's sleep is always a great thing anyway. So as part of the treatment, we now have to have some routine blood tests just for HIV and hepatitis. That's one of the things that apparently you have to do every single time, which is another £200 for us, but it also means that we have to drive all the way up to Bristol and back for a 10-second blood test each. So that's a 6-hour round trip just for the driving bit, so it'll be about 7 or 8 hours. It seems a shame to have to go all that way for the blood tests when there's so many people locally that could do them. Off we go, off we head off. We'd better hurry or we will be late for our appointment. And here we go again. We are 117 miles away. I've just refueled the car, so that's another £25 of fuel, and probably have to refuel it again on the way back. And about 3 hours later, that's us parked up, and we are in the Bristol Park and Ride, rushing over to the bus. I can see it over there. We've got about 10 minutes to get to the clinic, so hopefully we'll get to the bus before the bus leaves and we don't miss our appointment. And we made it just in the nick of time. 45 seconds later, and that's us leaving again. Very, very efficient, although it now means we've got another 3-hour drive to go. We're probably just going to have a little wander around Bristol first, maybe go for some lunch now, because we've been driving all day, and we're off into a nice little veggie place for lunch. Let's see how it is. It's called Pastan, I think. Let's see how the choices are. Just to start off, we've got ourselves a little vegan cheese board. Doesn't this look good? We'll have to see how it tastes, but I'm very impressed with the presentation. Well, it was a bit too quiet in the restaurant to film in there too much without feeling weird, but that was an absolutely amazing meal. I had a carbonara, had vegan pancetta, which doesn't sound great, but was actually really genuinely very tasty. And they used ground cashew instead of parmesan, which again worked really well. So I am impressed and a little bit surprised at how nice that was. So big recommendation from me, top tip of a vegan place to go in Bristol. It was £60 though. I'm not sure what this street is, but it's really quiet and picturesque, so I just thought I'd film it for you. Tamsin's just brought us to the top of a big hill to see the castle just behind me here. I'm not sure what it is, it's some sort of tower. I'm sure she'll tell me all about it later, but for now it's pretty and it's closed. Well, we found another path up to the tower and we've just climbed up to the top. There's about 1 million stairs, I think, but look at the views behind me, it's really gorgeous. A bit windy up here, and I'm not looking forward to climbing down, but fingers crossed I'll be as short-footed as a mountain goat and I will survive. Our last lot of IVF was in Prague, which is apparently 750 metres or miles, guessing miles, in this direction. I didn't want to film myself going down the really narrow staircase, but I'm going down the second spiral staircase now. A bit dark in here, a little bit less tight and claustrophobic, but still really narrow. I'm not going to tell you the little factoid about clockwise and anti-clockwise spiral staircases and defenders with swords and stuff, because if you don't already know that now, well, it's time to start Googling. A lot easier going down the stairs than it is going up them. Though perhaps me not looking where I'm going might not be helping that. I'll see you at the bottom. There's a bit of graffiti in here, but surprisingly little for a public attraction, so I'm quite impressed by that. And it is well lit, even though it is a bit dark. There's good lighting on the way down here. And that's us back and home in Cornwall again. Really exhausting drive this time, and it's pouring with rain here now as well, which made it a bit more difficult and tiring. But we're home and safe, and it's about 7 o'clock in the evening, so now I just need to have a little think about what I'm going to cook for dinner, and then maybe sit down and watch a bit of television, or perhaps work on editing one of these videos. Meanwhile, my pocket's now about £500 lighter. We did pay all of our deposit at this time, so only about the price of a new car left to go. So that's morning! I'm back at work again. It feels like a very short break after all that driving yesterday, so quite tired again today, but the sun's out and I'm the first in, which makes me feel very virtuous. And I am ready to get going. Tamsin's doing the market today, which is literally just, actually not even just across the road, just the other side of a field from me. So it means I can pop out at lunchtime and say hello to her and get myself some lunch, and that will be quite nice. I was going to say I might be tempted to get myself some gin from the gin stall, but I always worry when I say things like that, people might not realise that it's a joke and might take me seriously, and I don't want to get into trouble for that. So that's why I kind of stuttered for a moment then. First priority today, though, is to put the kettle on and get a mug of coffee. So I will be at my desk sipping hot coffee, hopefully by the time anyone else arrives. It looks like I'll be starting the day with a couple of minor ops, which is something I always enjoy doing. It's generally a nice, fairly straightforward thing to do with far less emotional angst than a lot of the things I have to deal with. But it also looks like I'm going to have to give the coroner's officer a call later today about a patient that I have never met. So I will have an interesting conversation there, trying to work out what that's all about. Right, well, I've been trying to get to my camera for about the last 10 hours just to film this short video. I got a message from Tamsin earlier this morning saying, we've got an appointment at 2 o'clock this afternoon, so I had to rush through everything this morning so that we could log into a Zoom call from my office. Thankfully, she was just across the road, so she could pop into my work to do it. And we had an appointment with one of the nurses at the clinic, and they confirmed that actually, even though one of the main reasons for choosing this clinic was because they offered a general anaesthetic egg retrieval, apparently the thing that they don't offer is a general anaesthetic egg retrieval. So that's a little bit disappointing as well. They do it under sedation, so potentially that could be good, but I've seen different levels of sedation and it often depends a little bit on the person doing the medicating. So far, I have to say, I was really impressed with the clinic in Prague, and I think everything so far has just made us recognise just how good the Prague clinic actually was, although this clinic does also have lots of good things going for it. On top of that, we recapped the price and it's absolutely eye-watering. It's the kind of amount of money that makes you feel a little bit sick to think about it. So, yeah, I guess I'm going to need to have a little vomit before I raid the bank account. Anyway, it's now the evening, so I'm going to head off home. I've got a pile more consent forms to do, and I really want to sleep because I'm just feeling a bit exhausted at the moment. And I would like to add that I do know Tamsin is feeling absolutely exhausted as well. Me talking about my experiences, I don't want anyone to think in any way I'm minimising what she's going through, but this is my video and nobody ever talks about the male side of the IVF experience. Back at work again and waiting for the kettle to boil. As you know, yesterday we had our last minute consultation in the middle of the day, so that made the whole day a little bit hectic and chaotic. And then of course I had to go back in the evening and fill out a big pile of various consent forms and educational packages and what have you, taking about 2 hours when my brain was already burnt out. So I only actually have hazy memories of last night. You know, when your brain is so exhausted, a bit like after an exam, you just can't think straight anymore. Anyway, today I've woken up just feeling completely burnt out and a bit like I could cry actually. I can't think the last time I had a good cry, so maybe that is due. But as I say, just absolutely mentally burnt out. I feel like I need a break, but I'm having to use all of my annual leave on the fertility treatment, which doesn't leave me with any actual rest time during the year. On top of that, I'm feeling so much guilt towards work. I keep having to drop them in it and at short notice say I'm not able to come in. And as we're only a small team, that means that it throws the whole practice into chaos. People have to come in on their days off, cover for me, that sort of thing. So that's really quite a rubbish feeling, and I must say I'm feeling a bit like I'm, an inch away from getting performance managed. I mean, nobody's said anything negative, and I'm sure that that's just a bit of paranoia speaking, but I feel like I'm just an inch away from that and being told, well, maybe it's time for you to think about finding another job. I think the only thing that's sort of protecting me is the shortage of doctors in the area. I hope that's not true, but it really does feel like it, and it really does feel like I'm just an inch away from getting a sack. Of course, if that happens, it means no job, no money, no references, and I think Tamsin thinks I'm not taking things seriously and not wanting to take time off. It's difficult to sort of explain in a professional job why you can't just drop everything and drop everyone like you can in other jobs. But of course that adds another layer to the metaphorical onion of guilt and just generally to the level of burnout I'm feeling. So that's really not much fun. And now, of course, I have to plaster on a big smile and listen to other people's health problems. Ironically, the big problems are often the easiest. The ones that are really difficult are the slightly less valid things, the people who've coughed for 10 minutes and feel they need us to drop everything to see them because it always goes to my chest doctor. Then, of course, there are the people who knew somebody who paid tax 15 years ago, so feel that they have rights because they pay my salary and they deserve to get everything for free. Is that fair? I don't think so. I'm just thinking how nice it would be to just get a cabin in a forest somewhere with no people around and become a hermit. It's coming up towards sunset and I've just popped out to pay my respects at the local war memorial. The day was a bit rubbish again. I'm still feeling absolutely punch drunk with everything, and even though it's what I'm wanting to do, I'm also struggling with the thought of having to now spend a massive chunk of my life savings and, in a way, kind of future security as well. So that's all quite frightening on top of everything else. I don't really know what else to say. I just kind of want to go home at this point and have a big glass of wine, although obviously I can't have a big glass of wine at the moment because I've got to be ultra healthy, ready for all the treatments and procedures. So I don't know what I'll do instead of that. I guess I'll have to make do with a big glass of water. Morning again, that's me logged on and just opening up the internet at work. I'm just about to go onto the fertility company website and spend a massive amount of money. I'm feeling an odd sense of dread. Anyway, I suppose that's the way it's got to be. You know, this is really something which is important. So I guess I'd better just bite the bullet and do it. And that's it done. I can't help thinking that's £14,000 plus I'll never see again, plus all the extras that we'll have to pay as well. But c'est la vie. If anyone has 15,000 friends who they can convince to subscribe to this channel, that would be really nice and really helpful, please. Anyway, the sun's up, it's shining straight in my face, but it's kind of nice because otherwise it's really dark in here. I've just heard a bong on the computer, which means that my first patient is here and in the waiting list, 10 minutes early. Oh, it's somebody that is in for a minor op, so yeah, I guess I better go over and start doing that.